Hi children, hope you all are doing good. We are moving on to the second trimester of your 5th standard science, first chapter, the skeletal system. We humans can do many things if you compare to a machine. Our body is more efficient than any human made machine. Now think of all the functions that your body can perform and all of them at the same time. How do we hear? How do we see? How does our heart beat? And how do we remember so many things? Let us know about it. Next is organ system. Our body has many parts, each of which performs special functions. The lungs, the heart, the kidneys and the brain are major organs of our body. These organs work like a team in order to keep our body fit. Our bones and muscles working together make our body an efficient machine. A group of organs together make up an organ system. For example, the digestive system helps in the digestion of food and the muscular system keeps our muscles strong and gives us strength. The nervous system controls the working of the internal organs, our movements and even our thoughts and emotions. The circulatory, the respiratory and the reproductive system performs their own special functions. Next we'll learn about the skeleton. The human skeleton is a framework of bones and this framework protects delicate internal organs like brain, heart and lungs. This gives support, strength and shape to the body. An adult human has 206 bones of different sizes and shapes in his body. The human skeleton consists of the skull, backbone, rib cage, and two pairs of limbs. And the forelimbs or arms, and the hind limbs or legs. Bones. Bones have blood vessels and nerves. It has a dense and tough outer layer, whereas the inner layer is a spongy bone. In middle of some bones, there is a jelly-like substance called bone marrow where the new cells are constantly produced for the blood. If the bone is broken, they repair themselves in several weeks. Our skeleton is made up of the skull, the backbone, the rib cage and the two pair of limbs. The skull. The skull is the bony framework of the head. It has spaces for our eyes, ears, nose and mouth. There are 8 flat bones which are interlocked together to enclose the delicate brain inside it. There are 14 facial bones which make upper and lower jaw and other facial structures. Among them, lower jaw is the only movable bone. It enables us to eat and talk. The spine or backbone. The skull is attached to the backbone, which forms the main axis of the skeleton. It is made up of 33 small bones called vertebrae, which form a strong column called the vertebral column. It makes us to move and bend, and it has holes in vertebrae. The vertebral column protects the delicate spinal cord. The rib cage. The ribs are delicate and curved bones which are joined to the backbone and the breastbone. There are 12 pairs of bow-shaped ribs which form a cage and enclose the heart and the lungs. The upper 7 pairs of ribs which are attached to the breastbone are called true ribs and the next 3 pair of ribs called false ribs are attached to the lower part of the true ribs. There are 2 pairs of floating ribs which are not connected to any organs in our body. Next, the limbs. The forelimbs or the arms are joined to the spine with the help of the shoulder girdles consisting of a pair of shoulder blades and a pair of collar bones. Hand consists of arm, forearm and hand. Arm has a single long bone called humerus. Between the elbow and the wrist present is forearm which has 2 long bones and are firmly connected to humerus. Hand has 3 parts, wrist, palm and fingers.
Humerus is the longest bone in the upper limb. The lower limbs or the legs are composed of the bones of thigh, leg, and foot. The powerful thigh bone called femur bears the weight of the whole body and it is the longest bone in our body. The leg is the region from knee to the ankle. It consists of two long bones, shin bone and calf bone. Shin bone is longer than calf bone, which are firmly attached to femur to form a knee joint. Foot consists of many small bones. The bones of the lower limbs are the heaviest, strongest, and the largest bones in the body, which bears the weight of the whole body.
Next is joints. A joint is a meeting point of two bones held together by strong tissues called ligaments. There are several joints in our body. All joints except of those in skull are movable.
The bones in the skull are interlocked, making the joints immovable. The lower jaw is the only movable bone in the skull. Hinge joint. When we try to move our knees or elbows, we can move them in only one or two directions. This is because the presence of hinge joint, which makes us to move only in one or two direction. A hinge joint is like the hinges in a door. It moves only in one direction. The hinge joint is the strongest joint but makes the movement easy. Our elbows, knees, toes, and fingers have hinge joints. Next, pivot joint. Pivot joint is found between the skull and the first two vertebrae of the spine. The uppermost vertebrae in the neck is called atlas. We can move our head sideways, upward, and downward with the help of the pivot joint. It also helps in the rotation of the neck. Ball and socket joint. It allows maximum movement as displayed by ballet dancers. The long bone that ends in a ball fits into the socket shaped hollow part of the other bone. The hip and the shoulder joints are of this type. The gliding joint. The gliding joint allows movement at the wrist and ankle and also between any two vertebrae of the spine. It allows our back to bend, twist, and turn at each joint and also makes easy movement of our body.
Next is muscles and movement. The muscles in our body tighten and relax to produce movement. There are several muscles in our body and each one cause particular movement. Muscles bend our knees and arms, push food into digestive canal, allow us to inhale air into the lungs, help us to chew the food and make our heart beat. Muscles are attached to the bones by strong fibers called tendons. These fibers become stronger with regular exercise. Now let us know about the type of muscles. Some muscles like the muscles attached to our skeleton are under our control, so we call them voluntary muscles. Muscles not under our control are called involuntary muscles. They control actions like the movement of food in the alimentary canal, the flow of blood and the movement of the eye muscles. The third kind of muscles are found in the heart, which are involuntary in function but they are structured like voluntary muscles. These muscles are called cardiac muscles.
Half of our body weight is of muscles. Muscles produce movement in our body by pulling on the bones. The muscle contracts when it receives the message from brain. Well developed muscles give a graceful appearance to the body. Bones and muscles work together. Muscles are attached to the bones by tendons. When the knee bends, one muscle contracts and gets shorter, whereas the other one relaxes. When the leg stretches, the reverse happens. There are 640 muscles in our body which gives good shape and good posture to our body.
We have to look after our body. We must exercise and rest properly. We must have healthy diet and do not eat junk food. This is about your first chapter. Thank you.